Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mic Check 2. My name is Rachel.
Aja.
Sean.
And today we are joined by the one and only, for the second time, I should mention.
Yes.
Miss Melissa Hawthorne.
Hi, everybody.
We'll allow you to introduce yourself for those who did not watch her on her first appearance of Mic Check 2. So if you can go ahead and let the listeners know who you are and what you do here for St. Hope.
Sure. I'm Melissa Hawthorne. I'm a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian, and a certified diabetes educator as well. I work with St. Hope with the patients and help them with their nutrition needs and help educate the patients to keep them as well as possible. So, and I do in-person, or I do telehealth for St. Hope. So you don't have to actually come to the clinic to see me.
Oh, no excuses.
We're holding you accountable. I love that. You said certified in diabetes. So that leads us into our topic today. We're definitely going to be talking about diabetes because it's the month of November. And it's just very important to, know your diabetes status and just as much information as possible. So, yeah, let's dive into it.
Let's talk a little bit about A1C. Okay. I do know that there's two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Which one is more common or do you see more often?
Good question. So there's about 37 million people in the U.S. that have diabetes. So that's type 1 and type 2 together.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
But 90 to 95% of those are type 2 diabetes. So those are people who usually, based on typically lifestyle, some genetics, do get diabetes throughout their lifetime. Type 1 is a little different. It's triggered by some type of event that may happen and your body attacks itself and then it doesn't produce insulin anymore. And those are the people who have to take shots immediately. Those who are diagnosed with diabetes not necessarily do you have to take insulin immediately. It's medication or just try to get it under control with diet and exercise, but not the case with type 1. So our bigger issue is worrying about those people that have type 2. And actually, 96 million people in the U.S. don't even know they have 96 million of the people in the U.S. have prediabetes. Most of those people don't even know they have prediabetes.
Ooh.
So prediabetes is a stage where it's right before the diagnosis of diabetes. So their blood sugars are elevated, not too bad, but they're kind of on the brink. And a lot of those times those people cross the line and do get diabetes.
So what are the early signs of pre-diabetes? Are you feeling more fatigue maybe or just...
So if you have diabetes or prediabetes and you're about to cross that line, or maybe you have and don't realize it, there's several signs. So you could be urinating a lot, have an urge to. You could be very thirsty. You might see some people lose weight really quickly, and you're like, what's going on? They could be very tired. They could have vision blurring effects, and then also if they cut themselves and it's not healing very quickly, that could also be a sign of diabetes.
I thought I was checking off the boxes until you said the weight loss. And I was like, I think I'm okay.
Look, I looked down at my stomach for a brief second. I was like, no, I'm good for right now.
I think if we're doing the pre-check, I think I might be okay. You also mentioned that it can be family history related. So can we talk a little bit more about that? Your chances are maybe 50% higher or?
Well, there's a higher risk if there's a genetic component and then there is a family history component. And really it comes down to your environment. So everyone could have a genetic issue or a predisposition for it, but then there's something that triggers it, right? Or that makes it worse. So just because you may have people in your family that have diabetes and you may have genes that would put you towards that disease doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get diabetes. So that is the important thing to think about. You're not doomed because your mom had it or your dad had it or your grandma had it. But the reality is it's environmental. So who are we around? So many kids are actually getting diabetes under 18, type 2 diabetes, and it's mainly because of how they're raised. If their parents aren't exercising and their parents aren't eating healthy foods or teaching them how to eat healthy foods, then they're eating what is given to them, because usually they can't drive, right? And so that's what they're seeing. So the people that you're around, and it could be kids or adults, makes a big impact on whether that gene is going to take its appearance or not.
Well, that's good to know because I do have some family members who have diabetes or had because they passed away. But yeah, just want to make sure. I do my best to not get diabetes.
Now, one thing that I want to bring up and talk about, I know you're also a dietitian. So we know everyone's favorite holiday is around the corner, Thanksgiving. So with that being said, what advice would you give for managing your diet during a time where we typically try to avoid paying attention to portion controls and what we eat?
Yes. The holidays we've already passed Halloween. Hopefully we got through that okay.
I still have a bucket of candy at home.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm going to get rid of that candy, but not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe
Not
soon.
ready.
Okay. Pass it around. Share the love. Because, right, a little bit's okay. Too much is not okay.
There we go.
And so Thanksgiving is and the holidays in December, it's all festive and we want to participate. And it's not saying that people who have diabetes can't, because typically those people have to watch their sugar intake and the added sugars, and there's a lot of sweets and decadent stuff that happens over the holidays. So what I tell my patients is, okay, let's focus on the holiday specific foods that you want to eat. There's lots of options, right? When you go to a holiday feast, like there's many options that you can choose from. But I want to know what you want to eat, what's important to you out of all those foods. And then just see, what other options are available. We obviously know that fruits and vegetables are healthy and low in carbohydrates, so we want to help provide some of those. So hopefully maybe there's something there that they could eat of the vegetables to help fill their plate with, along with lean protein. Turkey is fine, nothing wrong with that. And then have a small section on the plate for your starches, right? So if it's stuffing you love, but you could pass on the rolls, then great. If it's pumpkin pie you really want, which is my favorite, I'm going to try to do that. And then maybe pass on some other things that I could get any other time of the year. So really focus on the holiday specifics. So when you leave the meal, you feel, I had my Thanksgiving meal.
But what?
What if you don't have that portion control down just yet?
So,
You gotta pick your
For
top.
instance, for me, like when if I go to someone's house and like let's say there's a whole spread,
You can't have the whole
I need
spread.
a little bit of spoon right here, spoon right here, go around. Even though it might not be the best idea, but
So you could do that. There's lots of different strategies, right? So some people are like, well, I'm just going to take a small spoonful of everything to try it. Not a large portion, just a small one and try it. And then
don't
that
stack
can
your
work.
plates, people.
Right. And so going back to second, so I always say never show up to the meal too hungry, right? Because then you're going to dive into the starches or the carbs because your body wants those carbs if your kind of blood sugar starts to drop if you haven't eaten in a while. So make sure to eat, like say if you're eating a dinner, don't starve yourself all the way to get to that dinner meal.
I do that. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
Especially on Thanksgiving, like, because I know the meals are coming and it's like, you're about to house hop. So it's like, okay, don't eat, wait, and then.
But actually, if you start eat and kind of normalize what you do on a regular basis as far as you're eating, then by the time you get to the food, you're not going to be starving, like to the meal, and you can eat what you want to, but I bet you won't eat as much because you'll have some food already in your tank from the day of.
Right.
Why you pointing at me?
Well, I think I'm getting pointed out because if I see it, I'm eating it. And that's my problem. That's something I'm personally working through with my therapist. We're talking about it because if I see it, I'm like,
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's-
I'm eating the basket of chips.
And the one thing is that it's one meal, right? Or it's one day. But the problem is if we have all this food and all these leftovers, then we have Thanksgiving for like 4 days because we're eating off all the leftovers.
Then your turkey turns into turkey sandwiches, turkey dressing, turkey.
Right. The turkey is not my problem. I don't mind the turkey.
It's like the stuffing and the pie.
Stuffing
The pies.
turns into like some kind of weird casserole.
Do they have like sugar-free pies now? Or
You can make it that way by
You can
using
get keto pies. You can get
Yeah, you can.
it's more options. It's probably just not as ideal.
And you have to think about what you want too. Like some people was like, I really just would like to enjoy a small slice of the real thing, right? And enjoy it and then be done. So really, the one meal isn't going to make or break. It's going to make your diabetes worse. It's one meal, or push you over the edge. One meal. It's when we eat these things for a longer period of time. So if you can maybe, if you're used to making big portions, maybe just make a smaller portion of the same yummy food that you want, but you won't have leftovers for days and days. Like you might have one more meal leftovers and then we're done with that.
And we throw it away.
Thanksgiving.
That's why I go to other people's house because that pie is not going to be. Every time I go in the kitchen, it's not
gonna be calling
staring
your
at
name.
me. So if I just get a little piece at somebody else's house, I'm good. But if that pie is at my house,
It's gone.
It's not even pie. If peach cobbler is in my house,
That's it.
Well, if you're hosting, make sure you have lots of boxes so
yes.
that you can give out to others, and so you don't have it lingering
a
in your
parting
house.
gift. It's just
That's
here
right.
you go. Here you go.
Okay.
That's right.
Typically, those dealing with like diabetes, do they like? I guess like you have to learn your body over time to like know like, okay, this pie may not be worth it. Like, because they may be in like, what are like signs of like you probably overdid it? I guess like with your sugar.
You may feel really bad. Like if your sugar is high, you can get really tired. You may feel disoriented if they're that high. So it obviously depends on how much control you have over your blood sugars. But yeah, if you're used to doing well as far as managing your blood sugars, and then you kind of a splurge meal, you're going to feel it a lot worse than if you're typically at a higher level on your blood sugar, then you always feel that high. So that's why I tell people who are really controlled and they're like, oh, I had a splurge meal and I felt horrible. And I was like, well, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's a good sign because that means that your body was actually doing well. So you have to kind of remember that and just remember not to do that next time. Or if you want to just have a little bit of that, don't go full out because your body will tell you if it likes it or
It'll
not.
reject it.
So I have two things to go with that. So when you say when your body feels tired because it's something like you overdo it. So I know a lot of us know that as the itis.
Oh yeah, the
So
itis.
the itis is basically when you eat a good amount of food and you're just like, oh,
You're immediately tired.
and you're immediately like done. Like you have to take a nap for 2 to 3 hours. So would that technically like be a sign or
No, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that's a sign you have diabetes.
we're dispelling myths.
Yeah.
But at the same time, y'all know what I'm talking
But
about
I
when we
think
eat
it'd
the
be
big
more
meals.
concerning if it's like every meal you have, you're like
you feel this way all the
unexhausted.
time.
Okay, so
It's kind of a constant that you feel that way. Not if you happen to have this holiday meal and that's how you feel after holiday meals, and you may have a sugar rush and then you have a crash, but it's not saying you have diabetes.
okay.
So
itises are okay.
I don't really think
Don't
so.
look-
I mean, Sean, I didn't say that.
No. I think itis means you overdid it too.
Okay.
Still,
Now, when it comes to overdoing it, is there any kind of like ways people can prepare? Like, is there any kind of source material you may possibly recommend that someone may read upon prior to going into people's houses or cooking and whatnot? Just to get a good idea of like what they could be recommended, because I know most people when we cook dinners and Thanksgivings we go for our turkeys, our stuffings, we go for greens,
Mac and cheese.
mac and cheese.
Well, having a variety is all good. But if you're looking for resources to help and maybe read about it and try to take some extra steps, if you haven't met with a dietitian yet or anyone, then the American Diabetes Association has a website that has lots of information on there. So from what is diabetes to prevention to even there's an at-risk test that you can take. If you're like, I wonder if I'm at risk, you can just do a quick online quiz and it will show you. So there's lots of information on there, as well as there's recipes too. And they usually update it with holiday recipes if you're
there we
looking
go.
to make it a little bit healthier. And even if you Google, healthier stuffing or healthier apple pie, they usually show up on the internet too. So there's some things that you can do a little research on if you're curious, and just to educate yourself before moving into that step. But
because I feel like it's always resources. That's always another
Google's
option.
always
It's just
your
not as
friend.
fun. So I have a question. Like, how often are you supposed to be checking your blood sugar?
so if you have diabetes,
if you have diabetes.
so it depends. And some doctors will tell patients differently depending on their personality and their ability too, right? I mean, if you have a patient who can't see very well, checking their blood sugar is challenging because they can't, see the stick and the needle and all those things. And they do now have the continuous glucose monitoring system. I don't know if y'all have seen those.
Some of the providers at St. Hope are starting to tell patients about
Yeah,
those.
they're really neat. And so this way you don't have to prick yourself ever. And so you just see it comes up on the screen. It's a continuous monitoring of your blood sugars,
And
basically.
and then it's an app too. So like,
Right.
it links it. And
Yeah,
then
you can
boom,
scan it
pops
or
up.
Bluetooth it either way, but and so you see what's happening on a continuous basis, not just at the finger prick. So that's kind of the way of the future, which is really great. And I hope more people will be able to get that through insurance and whatnot soon. But, and then basically though, what you're looking for, fasting is a good one. So when you wake up in the morning, check it. It's one level to look at. And that's what they usually do at the doctor's office, right? When they come in, tell you to come in fasting, they'll check your fasting. But then also so the hemoglobin A1C that's the average of your blood sugars over 3 months. So what they're looking for is, how high and what the average of your blood sugars look like. Well, the highest blood sugar numbers are typically happening after you eat. So if you're wondering if you're keeping your blood sugars down, it's best to check it after you eat. Now, people can do it before or whatnot, but if you're trying to start out, I would say check your blood sugar 2 hours after your first bite of food. So if you eat lunch starting at 12:30, then you would check it at 2:30. And by that time, your food should digest enough to where your blood sugars should be coming down, if they're going to come down. The problem is if they're not controlled for whatever reason, or you eat a lot of carbs, or your medicine's not working, or whatever it is, then it can stay up higher longer and take a while to come down. And there's different ranges to look at, but typically if you're going to do that, under 180 is a good number to stay under. Better control is closer to under 140. Different doctors may have different levels for that, but that's typically what I would look for and tell somebody. So
I don't know, usually like our first set of patients, they come in and the doctors will recommend they do like a fasting lab first, for the most part, just to get a good base.
But that makes sense how that could be a problem. Like, I never thought about it like that. Like, if it doesn't go down and then you go back to eat, and so it never really gets
a chance to reset.
To reset.
You never know. And then always people are like, oh, well, I can't eat that because I heard on the internet that this spikes blood sugar. And so I asked them, I go, well, have you ever eaten that food and tested your blood sugar? And they're like, no. And I said, well, then you don't know. So everyone's different. So I would say if you ever have a question about that, that's all you have to do is just check your blood sugar, whether it's on the CGMS or you just prick your finger and then you'll see the number. And if your numbers go down, then you know that meal did well for you. Or if it didn't, you'd be like, I wonder what happened.
It's like them fruit warriors. They be, you can't eat that. I'm like, oh my God, it's a
Did you say
fruit.
fruit warriors?
Yes, they really be anti-fruit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're eating pineapples? I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
oh my, let me just have 3 little pineapple chunks.
Well, and not to overwhelm anybody, but like Sean said, like sometimes they'll have people just start in the fasting. And then I usually say, you don't have to prick yourself all the time, but if you want to do fasting and then pick one meal that day and test afterwards. And then the next day, choose another meal and then alternate. And then once you know, like when I eat this meal, my blood sugar is good. I don't need to test that meal anymore. When I eat this meal, it's like, I wonder what mashed potatoes are going to do when I eat this with my meatloaf or something. Then you can test that and then you'll know for future what's happening. But that's a great way because if you can keep your numbers in the level that it's supposed to be, then basically your A1C will be lower, hopefully too.
But
in a range.
Is there one food that you're like supposed to stay away from if you are diabetic?
Everyone's going to have their opinion on
Right.
that. I'm more concerned with the added sugars.
So like the sodas.
Right. So sweetened beverages, candy, granola bars, anything where sugar is added to the food. Fruit, natural. It's not added. So it's not saying that every fruit is not going to raise blood sugar. Fruit will raise your blood sugar. It will. And some foods, even rice or things like that don't have any added sugars, can still raise blood sugar higher than other things, and people don't like that. So it's not saying it doesn't, but you have to figure that out on your own on which foods do. But if you're going to say which foods to stay away from, it's the ones with the added sugars.
That makes sense.
Fruit warriors.
And alcohol, because alcohol is sugary. I guess if you start mixing it.
If you mix it, but typically alcohol is a depressant, so it's actually going to drop your blood sugar over time.
Really? Oh.
But they typically tell you to stay away from alcohol if you have, I guess, until you get it under control.
Because it'll drop you later.
That happy reaction.
It'll be too harsh of a drop with the alcohol.
It can, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so it's more hesitant like when you're with insulin and you're dealing with that because you're giving insulin to cover the food, but then if you have alcohol, then it can mess up the drop. But yes, when you add sugar to the mixers, then that's a whole other story too.
No,
Applebee's,
that 3 for $3,
that dollar margarita.
Get the Bahama Mama, and then next thing you know, it's just up there. It's up and it's stuck.
It's out of control.
You're tired.
And you're
you're
tired.
fatigued and everything else. Now, let me see. Let's say we've passed the level of pre-diabetes. We've crossed that boundary and a provider diagnoses you with diabetes. Is it curable?
It can be reversible.
Okay. So how do we go about reversing once we start in our
And when I say
like a
reversible,
timeline?
meaning you can get it back into the healthy
Range.
A1C range, but you're always kind of predisposed your body to get back up there. So you have to work harder to stay down sometimes. If you've let that cross over to a higher A1C and you get it down, so sometimes it's harder to keep it down, but it can be done. So you can't forget about it. When people work really hard and they get their A1C to a normal range, that's great, but you can't just be like, I'm good, I'm cured. You're not cured. Like
It's like a whole lifestyle.
You're at a higher risk for it to go back up still. But if you change your environment and the exercise and healthy eating and all that stuff, then you can keep it to where you need it to be.
Go ahead.
So say your question one more time because is it curable?
If it's reversible, I'm trying to say how I want to say it. So we get diagnosed, it gets reversed.
We change our
lifestyle. And you have to work extra hard. Is there any kind of like, do you still have to stay on like the medications and all of that? You still have to do the finger pricks consistently?
So it would depend on the patient. So typically, if you can show, so a lot of times what happens to get to that point, you'd have to typically lose weight. So, because people who cross over the line are typically not eating healthy, they're not exercising, and they're not maintaining a healthy weight. So a lot of times if we can reduce the weight, so we lose weight, we're exercising, we're eating healthy. As the time goes on, the doctors will usually look at what you're doing and getting, maybe 6 months and maybe a year before they touch medicine if you're on medicine. And then they'll start slowly cutting back on medicine. But it really does depend on the person. So yes, if you get to a healthy range, there's a definite possibility that you could get off medicine.
Okay.
But you have to keep everything consistent as far as healthy eating and exercise.
That's like
you can't just lose the weight and then never go work out again.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times we don't talk about like the mental hold that diabetes can have on you because you're gonna like change your whole lifestyle essentially. Like, do you see that with your patients ever coming in? Like, I guess you have to kind of mourn your own lifestyle.
Yeah. When they come see me and I see their A1C and I see where they're at, my first goal is for help them with their diet and exercise, right? That's the first approach is what we want to try to do. But then, I think mental health is definitely in there because if I have a person who's depressed, they don't want to go to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go exercise. They don't even want to have self-care. If I can't get them to even have self-care about themselves, it all goes together. That's exercise. That's eating healthy. That's getting up and showering, all those things. So if their mental health is not in check, then yes, that will definitely affect their prognosis and how they're going to be able to handle the disease.
Especially with the gym. I know we always go back to the gym thing, but you have to have that very disciplined mindset going into trying to treat yourself if you're classified as diabetic because you have to, like you said, stay consistent.
Yeah, and it's helpful to have, a support system, and sometimes when people, again, don't have their mental health in check, they don't have a good support system or they don't think they do or they haven't reached out to those people to help them. So, yeah, you have to have a regimen and you have to be motivated to be consistent, whether it's in the gym or in the kitchen or wherever it may be. But I think mental health is not talked enough about this disease state. So,
and that's relation to that, yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, you just imagine your whole life, you just never worried about it. And then it's like, you got to watch what you eat. Most people don't watch what they're eating. And then somebody telling you to be mindful of what you're eating all the time, that can be difficult. Like if you just McDonald's every day or,
That's like someone telling me not to eat fast food every other day. It's like,
mind your business. Yeah.
Right. That's very me. It's like, mind your business.
But it's funny though, because some people that have the disease, they don't even realize how sick they were. Because they're just functioning daily and they think this is their norm. The tiredness is the norm, the, just feeling weak and, all the things that come with it. They think oh, that's normal. I just probably went too hard the night before partying or something. But it could be a serious condition.
And that's why also they do the extra exams outside of just the regular, the podiatry, vision, diabetic exams, just because it can travel throughout your whole body and affect it in different ways.
Right. Yeah. It can affect your heart. It can affect your kidneys, the nervous system. So that's why the neuropathy, on your feet and hands, people complain about that. Vision, and then even oral health. Hearing is actually a big one too. That's not checked very often.
I didn't know about.
I didn't know about
hearing's
hearing.
a new one for me.
Yeah, it's because the eyes, people know that it affects the vessels going into your eyes, but it also affects the vessels going into your ears. So that's something that just they're starting to learn more about, and that doctors should check, especially with the hearing. And kind of the other part that's research is showing is that it affects the mind. So dementia and Alzheimer's is affected more so when people have diabetes.
That's a new
I'm
one.
outdone.
Yeah, I mean, if you
That's
need some
a
more
lot.
motivation to get to the
I didn't
gym,
know
I don't
that.
know
That was a
about
new one
you.
to me.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. What? No, I'm just
No, that was.
That's a lie. That's a
I
that's eye-opening.
didn't know about that one. That's
I think if people realize more of the risks, the process would be a little easier to like, okay, I think you're not going to go to the gym 7 days a week. Like you're just,
and you're not gonna eat. Well,
But-
I don't know about eating healthy 7 days a week.
but I mean, if you hear like, oh, you could lose your hearing or something in your eyes, you're just a little bit like, okay, I can go walk for 10 minutes a day. Like, let's just start something
Yeah,
here.
start
Like,
somewhere.
Start somewhere. And I think that's important.
And I mean, I've always heard the worst case scenarios, like how you hear about people going into the doctor's office and they have to end up going to a specialist,
Oh, the amputees, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's when it definitely goes too far. So, which is why it's really important to know your numbers, right? And have your physical every year and have them check your blood work. And so that way, even if it can escalate very quickly, if you have prediabetes, like you can get to that diabetes state very quickly if you're not on top of it with your doctors and knowing your numbers and really take care of your own health, take power over it.
So I have a question because I know food plays a really big role in the diabetes, how it escalates and things like that. So what advice would you give somebody? Because the healthier foods are a little bit more expensive. So if like the cheeseburgers are like $1 versus like an $18 salad now. Like I think I went to Saladas the other day. I'm not joking. Like I
yeah.
I spent like $17 on a personal, like a small. I ordered the small. I'm sorry. I mean, with a cup of water. Like
Did you get avocado and stuff for it?
I didn't even get avocado. I skipped that part. Yeah, it was the shrimp. I was
The shrimp, that'll get you.
I was actually gonna single-handedly pick them out and be like, I'll just take the lettuce. I'll take the $10 that I started off with lettuce bowl was now like $17.50, and I was just like,
Yeah, so that actually is good. So, because healthier foods generally, like even if we go like to Whole Foods,
Yeah.
food there is generally more expensive than like if we go to like a regular grocery store.
Yeah.
So how do
You gotta know
recommend?
how to shop at Whole Foods. Whole Foods get a bad rep, but you gotta just know how to shop at Whole Foods. I think
How do you work around that though financially? Though it's
I
kind
think
of
you have to just know how to shop and like what to pay attention to. If you stay on the outside of the grocery store, you really just kind of do better, to be honest. Because I did that one time. I did not really go in the middle. I really just walked in. I did. And my total was way
less.
It was way less. I stayed on the fresh. I got my little chicken breast. Got my little almond milk.
And you was out.
Yeah, the outskirts.
See,
That middle.
I'm not a
The
grocery
middle
shopper.
tears you up.
That's me. I'm not the grocery shopper guy. So I don't know. That's why.
If you're not familiar with the grocery store, then yes,
Yeah,
you'd be
that's
like,
not-
how do I eat healthy? And if you eat out, then yes, it can get more expensive. But if you make that same salad at home, it would be way less expensive.
Right.
So Asha's right. The perimeter is where you need to be. They spend a lot of money marketing inside the aisles. But if you stick to fresh and even bulk items, like that can be a saver as well. Like beans or nuts in bulk and not have to buy them all packaged. Don't get the meats already marinated. Just get the proteins plain. You marinate them at home or season them yourself. But be smart with your shopping. So make a list before you go. Figure out what foods and meals that you're going to make with that food or with those foods, and then buy for those meals and stick to the list. It's the extra stuff that adds up too.
And don't go hungry.
Don't.
Oh yeah, never go to the grocery store hungry. That's bad.
I also
What?
because then your eyes are bigger than your stomach. You're like, oh, I need
You walk in right to that bakery section and it's downhill.
everything.
If you go to the store hungry, I bet you turn into which supermarket suite
There's
people running
the
down
cart.
the thing.
They act like they got 1 minute to fill up their whole
I really
cart.
never thought about that.
But and then also I know like you're not supposed to buy like fruits in bulk because like you're just wasting money because like they expire so quickly, like fresh fruits.
Yeah.
Like, buy what you're gonna like eat in your setting. So that makes sense. Like if I buy 2 bags of grapes knowing I'm only gonna be able to eat one in 3 days.
It depends on the family, right? If you have a big family, then buying in bulk may be smart, right? But if it's only a few people eating, then yes, don't overbuy on the fresh. But frozen and canned can definitely work and to save money, especially if it's not in season. So fresh fruit, just don't get anything with added sugars. It's fine. You can add that to oatmeal in the morning or just have it as a treat, by having it like thaw. But then the frozen vegetables, nothing wrong with those. And the canned, you get no salt added is better, or you can rinse it to reduce some of the sodium that you eat.
So when patients come in, you like ask them like, what's your favorite things? And y'all like make lists or do that or?
Yeah, well, I ask them how they're eating now. Like, what do you do now? I don't try to just be like, well, this is what you have to do, right? Because that doesn't ever go very well.
Yeah. I'd be like, thank you.
That's right. I'm leaving now.
To end this call.
That's right.
So, bad connection.
Yeah. So I want to meet the patient where they are, because there's no point in me saying, well, this is what you have to do. And they just feel like it's too overwhelming and they can't do it, which is what y'all have mentioned here, right? So I kind of ask, what are you doing now? How many meals are you eating? What are you drinking? All those things. And then we make maybe 3 goals to work on to just make it a little bit healthier. So that way when you and then build on that, right? So I tell them this is not going to change everything, but if we can make this work and you get used to eating this way or adding more vegetables or taking out the sodas gradually, sometimes if they're eating 7 sodas a week, I'm like, okay, can we cut that down to 4 even? So I think that's a misconception.
I don't know.
Do we need to talk, Sean?
We had this on a previous podcast, and I have my daily Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
So
would a diet Dr. Pepper be better, or this is still?
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually take people from regular sugar to artificial, because there's also studies that show that can cause more cravings. So I'd rather.
Troy's in the back, like no, because I've tried the diet. I've tried a Dr. Pepper, and then I've tried a diet, and it's like, what is this? And it just makes me mad. So I end up going back and getting that.
So now you had the artificial in the.
I think the only thing it's very rare that for me personally, that I've tried a diet soda that I liked, because it just tastes totally different for me. People say that some taste the same. I'm like, no, they don't.
They really don't. I'm not even a big soda person, but I did try my grandma's Diet Dr. Pepper one time, and I was like, girl, how you drink
It's just like dark carbonated liquid.
It's awful, yeah.
But now that your hearing's affected, I bet you're gonna.
I mean, my hearing's already shot.
Exactly. You don't want it to be worse. You don't want it to be worse. We're trying to encourage Sean.
I know, guys. Don't listen to me.
Don't be like Sean.
So the moral of the story is, if you're drinking more or doing the sodas or candy or something, like let's try to cut it back some. And then eventually, once you maybe can do 4 a week, then let's do 2 a week, and then maybe 1, and then and then obviously substitute that with water, not a diet soda.
Sean, let's try it.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
We're gonna go down to 4.
We'll check back.
No, okay. Let's be realistic. Let's do 5.
We'll start with 5.
Let's start with 5, because you're doing 7. 5, I feel like is more realistic. We don't need you to come in here flipping tables next time.
No, I'm not gonna flip tables.
It's those little wins that build that confidence and that self-efficacy that they can do it, and then we can add more. Right? Some people are going to be in a state where like, I can only change one thing right now. And some people are going to come in and be like, yeah, I can change my whole diet. I'm good.
Do you have that happen? Like some people will actually come and be like, I'm ready to change my entire diet right now.
And they get mad when I don't tell them that they have to cut things out. And I'm like, well, I mean, you can. I don't think it's going to work long term, but you can if you want to. And so I just seen it. I've seen the worst, where people cut it out and they do it for like 6 weeks and they can't do it anymore. And they're like, forget it.
That's me.
So but then we don't make any progress.
I can start it and I do so well, and then it's like,
oh yeah. When Sean has a goal, I'm putting you on blast. When Sean has a goal, he's like super dedicated. First 3 weeks.
That's me. Like if I'm going on a trip and I need to drop that quick little 10 just to look right in that little shirt and whatnot, it's like, oh yeah.
And then once he's on that trip, he's just like, your $17 salad.
My $17 salad every day.
Y'all paying for convenience. That's crazy. $17.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like when you have that goal, but once that goal is accomplished, like let's say it's your birthday, you know how everybody gets on their birthday, like, oh, I gotta get my birthday outfit. Let me go to the gym and let me eat right. And birthday comes and goes, and boom,
New goal.
Yeah. I'm a goal motivated. If I have a goal, I can do it.
Just
if I don't,
keep setting them then.
I know, but
keep setting them. See, that's the but. It's
for
the
me,
but.
I think it's harder just because my birthday falls in October. So as soon as October's over, holiday food.
That's when you definitely need a new goal.
Yeah.
So that's where
We
I'm
can challenge you this year,
What if you
Shannon.
just say you're gonna eat holiday food on the day?
And no leftovers.
No leftovers.
And I think this year it's gonna be like turkey wings. I'm not trying to do all that this year.
But one day.
I could do one day because I know
We're having
leftover.
an intervention right now.
I feel like I really do feel like I'm having an intervention.
All light and
It's like a fat boy moment for
oh
me.
no.
But
You can pay your copay after the episode.
it's fine. But
Yeah, you had your nutrition, your case management
That's right.
visit. Yeah. Collecting space.
sheesh, hot seat today, boy.
You did it to yourself. I stayed quiet this episode.
You did do it to
Goodness.
yourself.
Now, question though. Do you recommend meal preps to patients when they come in?
For them to meal prep? Or
And like, do you have like pre-done recipes or ideas that you may be able to pass off to patients when they come and see you?
I definitely have ideas. I don't have pre-made
Yeah, okay.
diet plans. Yeah. I don't think that's helpful in like my line of practice. I feel like people want that, but then they really don't want that. Like, cause they don't do it. So they're online. If you ever want to look and it's like, I wonder what a 1,200 calorie meal plan looks like, or a diet or diabetic meal plan looks like, you can find them. But I really try to work with what they're doing and then fix it and then offer them, okay, here's how you make a salad, or here's a dish you could make would be a little bit healthier. So try to help them where they're at.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I always like that approach for providers when they meet me at my level.
Yeah.
And let's go upward.
Right.
So I know we
Together.
talked about diabetes being reversible. It's preventable too, right? Like
Yes.
if you know, like, oh, okay, I'm borderline. Like if you're pre-diabetic, then you can cure it. I guess is that or
You can get your A1C down
okay,
and not a pre-diabetic range. But like I said, if you had gestational diabetes, that puts you at risk. And then if you have family members that have type 2 diabetes, then that's another risk factor. And then if you are overweight and not at a healthy weight and you're not exercising, you're not eating healthy, then that increases your risk as well. So you can't really take away your genetic part, but you definitely can work on those three things as far as getting your weight in a healthy range. And that could be just as easy as losing 10% of your body weight. It don't have to, that can make some changes just right then and there. And then also exercising and then eating healthy.
this is off topic. It may be off topic, but it's still about diabetes. Like if you're a pregnant woman and you get diabetes while pregnant, then once you have the baby, it goes away or no?
Usually it does.
Okay.
Doesn't always, but it usually does. But then you are at risk for getting type 2 later on. Doesn't mean you're going to, but you're at higher risk.
I just always wondered because like they make you, y'all don't know. I'm sorry, but they make you take that nasty. Because I just, I'm not gonna put that.
And I can't relate.
But yeah, when you're pregnant, they make you take that. Yeah. It's like the nastiest drink you've ever tasted in your life. Add that to your list of
Like
not, why not touch it?
a prenatal drink or something?
It tastes like a strong Fanta.
Yeah.
It's like orange.
And then they test your blood.
It's straight glucose, so they see how your body reacts to the glucose.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if it stays high, then they know you're not digesting it well.
Nice dog.
Yeah.
No pregnancy for me either. Nope.
Take that off your to-do list for 2023. You're not going to end your 2023.
No pregnancy for me.
Oh, dang. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, no for me as well. I didn't know if you were asking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're the mother. I was waiting for you.
No. I wasn't asking for a personal reason. I was just like, I wonder if it goes away. Because I know they make you take that drink. Moving on. Moving on.
And segue.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about a lot of like ways that it can be, I guess, like prevented with like lifestyles and things and better food options. How often would you recommend somebody like working out though? It would still be the same thing, like meeting them where they're at, I guess, or
Definitely. I would say the recommendation they find is 150 minutes a week. So that could be 5 days a week for 30 minutes, if you look at it that way. But some people aren't even nowhere near there. So that is the goal, right? That's been shown to be helpful. And that may not get the weight off as much as they want. They may want to go longer or harder. That's totally fine, but that's kind of the minimum. That's a goal that's shown. But you can definitely start, all right, let's get 2 days in. Right. Or even I've got some people that they can't even do 30 minutes a day because of endurance. But we can do 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and 10 minutes. And that's fine as well. So yeah, for sure. We have to meet where they are.
So
But any movement's better than no movement.
what do you think about your personal thoughts, pre-workouts?
Pre-workout.
Because I know it like jumps your sugar and everything like skyrocketed for like the next 3 to 5 hours.
Like the drinks that
The
people
energy
take?
like those
Energy drinks and stuff.
pre-workout energy drinks. Are those overall bad for you?
So
I see Troy in the background like heavily nodding yes.
I feel like if you were diabetic.
yeah, I mean, depending on so it's not a bad thing if you wake up and you're exercising in the morning or regardless of the day, you should have some fuel like food in your tank to be able to push you to the exercise. So it's not always a good idea to wake up and exercise on an empty stomach when you've been fasting basically all night. So depending on blood sugars though, that may make a difference. But I don't necessarily always encourage that pre-workout jolt that people like to take, those drinks. But if you want to eat like a banana before you go, that gets your carb level a little bit higher. So that way you get a little bit of energy and can work harder. But I don't feel like everyone needs the artificially those pre-workouts.
That's what we're trying to stay away from.
Just
That'll
curious.
give you a heart attack.
Yeah. Those Red Bulls too.
I think there are different types of pre-workout drinks. Some trainers may think differently with like amino acids and other things in them. But if you're looking at for just like a jolt, like I would not recommend them.
Oh, okay. I never thought about just trying a banana.
Yeah.
I'll do like maybe half a sandwich, but then sometimes I will be guilty of like
The pre-workout. You love a pre-workout.
I do.
He
Heart goes racing, boy, but I'll tell you.
It's a great workout.
Yeah, now you're overly working out. Okay.
Not the. You know what? We're just gonna continue your episode off camera.
Yeah.
Right.
We only have a limited amount of time. Not just kidding.
In the This Is Your Life episode today.
True life. No. I think it's very challenging though. Like Sean mentioned earlier, like you do have to be disciplined because like every day you're not gonna be motivated, but you have to be disciplined. That's what I tell myself when I don't want to work out. Mm-hmm. And because I've been going hard for about 6 weeks now, and my pants still tight. And we
It's
just
okay.
gonna keep pushing through.
It's okay.
Come keep pushing through. It's okay.
It's a lifestyle change.
I understand. Sean.
It's okay.
I just didn't want you to feel like you was on
Thank
the
you so
bridge
much.
by yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm here.
That emotional support person. Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome.
But what all resources does St. Hope Healthcare have when it comes to diabetic care or management? And how can a person sign up?
Sure. So the cool thing about St. Hope is that we have so many different avenues that people, based on what the diabetes can do, as far as, with your oral health, we have the dentist. We've got 2 medical providers that specialize in diabetes. There's 2 dietitians on staff that you can see telehealth or in person. We have optometrists. We have our social workers and psychiatrists, right, to help with the mental health part. And we have
Podiatry also.
podiatry. That was the other one. Yep. So we can hit a lot of those things as far as prevention and even management. So it's important to get all of your body checked out because diabetes affects lots of parts of your body. So and we also have our pharmacy. So if you do need medicine, we have an easy way for you to get the medicine that you do need.
That just made one last question.
Oh,
'Cause I know so if you have diabetes, does that necessarily mean like you're gonna have to take medicine?
No.
If it's like crazy high though, like.
So again, that's a doctor's call. If you come in and your blood sugar is super high, they may give you medicine just to try to get it down, because they don't want you to have to go to the hospital or whatnot. You may be in the hospiol. So they may send you home on medicine, but that doesn't mean you have to stay on it.
What's the highest blood sugar you've seen in your?
Well, the meter stops functioning after 500.
Ooh.
Have you
So
gotten close to 500?
I've seen someone over, like it's not readable. Like it's that high.
Is that like when you go into like a diabetic coma?
Yeah, you can.
And then they don't even know, like they're just coming in for their appointment.
Yeah, because it's normal.
That's what I'm saying. People just
They
functioning.
think, they think that's just
normal.
how they normally feel. They have no idea. So
And then when they get it controlled, they feel so much better. I know somebody like that. They just
it's one thing if you're taking care of yourself and you have all this energy and you feel great, but if you're not into that and you just kind of always feel kind of sluggish, and if you felt a little more sluggish or not as great, you probably wouldn't know any different. Not enough to call the doctor.
yeah.
You just think, oh, it's just my lifestyle. but it's just how I am.
500 though? Yeah.
But yeah, so it can
I'm not
get high.
laughing at that. I'm just like, that's like, I've never,
That's really high.
That's
Yeah.
extremely high. Yeah.
There's been a few I've seen. A lot of those do end up in the hospital though that are there, but there've been a few that come in the clinic that have it that high. But no, so if you get that high, the doctors probably will put you on there just to get it down, and then you have your choice. What do you want to do? So hopefully it might be a scare factor. People will start exercising and watching what they're eating, and unfortunately some people don't, and they'd rather just take the medicine and not. But the good news is you can reverse it and get back to a healthy lifestyle and not have to take medicine.
It all starts with your initial doctor's appointment.
That's right.
Yes.
Step one.
Step
Get your
one.
labs.
Yeah.
Get
So
your A1C.
if you meet with a medical provider, then they can then figure out what other services at St. Hope that you need. And then you can make those appointments.
Yeah, and if you want to make your appointment, which you should make your appointment, that's me telling you what to do at this point. You can always call the number 713-778-1300, or you can use the chat feature on the website at offeringhope.org. Melissa, do you have anything else that you would like to say?
Or add to the diabetes conversation.
I think we covered a lot of it, but just know that if you have a lot of family members that do have diabetes, just know that you're not definitely going to get it. You don't have to get diabetes. There's a lot of complications that come with it. It's not just, I can't have sugar. A lot of medical issues that come with it that some people don't always talk about. So reach out, find your support system, find someone to get out exercising. Just start, do something. And always check in with your doctor too, just to maintain and figure out where you're at.
That's important. Let's support our loved ones with diabetes.
Yeah.
Help them make better choices.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for giving us your time. We truly appreciate it. If y'all would like to schedule with Miss Melissa Hawthorne, you can by, like I just said, use our chat feature or call in and schedule an appointment. And just remember, here at St. Hope Healthcare, you're more than just a number.